Welcome, everybody, to the September 12th, 2019 Energy Awareness Commission meeting. First thing on the agenda we're going to take a look at is the approval of our minutes. And this is the approval of our minutes from back in May, correct?
Yep.
We didn't have
From May 14th, since we didn't have a meeting the other month. So any questions, corrections, issues?
I'll
No,
offer a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, we had a motion to approve in a second to approve the May 14th, 2019 minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is reports from offices, and I believe Derek is up for that on our income statement here.
Gotta get on my screen.
So I see we're
Yeah, sorry.
slowly making progress with rebates. I'm sure some of them categories are going to have quite a few rebates still coming in, especially the furnace cleaning and the furnace rebate. I would suspect air conditioning rebate is probably just about done for the year,
Yeah,
depending
I'm there
on
now.
how
Finally
many
at the page.
rebates are still there.
So yeah, as stated, as of when I did income statement, we have rebated almost 13,000 since the beginning of August. And the furnace rebate has 7,600 left in the account, which I'm sure will run dry by the end of the year. Between that and the furnace cleaning, those are pretty popular rebates, and they usually go over budget. And I think those are some things, along with the steam rebate, and if we include any other steam or gas rebates going forward, we'll need to look at, because only 0.5% of the gas revenue goes into some of these programs. So generally each year we go over what the gas department actually puts into these accounts. So I'm not sure how much that might take away from other electrical savings. So I mean, just going forward, saying, this upcoming year, we'll have about $42,000 some dollars from the gas department going into the total programs. Out of the total of, I think it's going to be $262,000 some dollars total. So
So if their programs go over their state requirement, doesn't it come out of, don't they continue to pay? Because the electric would. I mean, if we superseded our budget, the electric, that would have to come from somewhere.
right.
So if you're doing gas programs, shouldn't that almost be kind of separate, because that's a whole separate?
That's what I'm getting at. I
Yeah.
don't know if it was the last few years. I mean,
Okay.
I never looked at it until just starting to do my budget the last few weeks, and how much money actually came from each department, whether it was electric or gas,
Okay.
and then how much I was putting into those accounts, and then how much was going over.
Sure.
I mean,
Mhm.
looking at just last year, the furnace cleaning rebate, we were over $7,000, and that was the furnace cleaning, and the furnace rebate was over $2,000. So we spent $37,000 on furnace cleaning rebates and $27,000 on furnace rebates, which were both gas.
Right.
And the
Right.
budget probably wasn't. There was more sales in gas this last year in 2018 than there was the prior year, so we definitely went over what maybe we should have been looking at.
Sure.
And I'm not saying we couldn't maybe carry some of those savings over. I'm thinking maybe we could, but
So we maybe need a better way of kind of keeping track of which money's coming from which.
Right.
Which
Mhm.
area? I'm assuming the open house funds, that's gonna be for the Public Power Week.
That's Public
again.
Power Week, yeah. And last year we had a bigger event where I think we used 90% of those funds. This year we're not doing that big of an event. Maybe in another 2 or 3 years we'll do something big every so often. This year I think we're just gonna have a small drive-up event where we'll have, we're purchasing a like Energy Star mini fridge, so people can come up and sign up to win the fridge, which then in turn we can count on within our, appliance, Energy Star appliance reporting to the state, and then have some literature on obviously the benefits of public power and information on Energy Star appliances, since there's still quite a few rebates within the year that come in that are appliances that aren't Energy Star certified.
So you said a drive-up event?
Yeah, so they'll drive up, we'll serve them coffee and some sort of
donut or
cookies
something?
or donuts or a
Mhm.
brownie or something.
Well, that's kind of cool.
And then they can, if there's room, I mean, we're not, usually that area where we're gonna have it, I know you're both probably familiar with it, where, not the employee, but the public utility vehicles can park on German Street.
Yeah.
Yep, so we'll boot them out for a few hours so people
Mhm.
can kinda drive up there.
Kind of breakfast
And then
at the
we can
utilities
kinda, yeah,
or something,
kinda
or,
just, we can serve them in their car, they can get
Uh-huh.
out. And it, just from like a 9 to 11:30,
sure.
something short, but to at least get some information out.
Well, that's, that's kind of cool. That's something
Yeah.
new.
Yeah,
That's
something
something new.
different. Well, it's not original, I kind of,
Well,
we
I
kind of
mean-
saw it somewhere else.
Well,
we
sure,
thought, hey,
but I
that's
mean,
kind of a good
hey,
idea.
yeah, it's still pretty
Yeah.
original. Yeah.
So that's the idea with that. So those funds will still be left over. We're not spending $3,000 on, mini fridges. I think expensive ones are $200 and some dollars. So
Right.
I don't know what, I haven't purchased one yet, so I don't have the price on that.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that works and
Mhm.
turns out. Be
Yeah.
something different. Cool. Any other comments or questions about our income statement?
Just, I see that the energy audit budget is,
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that later, but yeah, we did, in the agenda, that's gone down from the original 8,500 or 8,400.
yeah.
We did 2 energy audits, I think they were July. Center for Energy Environment came down, did 2 energy audits, and then those reports are in the agenda today. And then going forward, end of this month, they'll be doing the other, I think we have 13 customers signed up, so there's actually spots for about 7 more. So I'm not sure, I mean, we did advertise, it was in the newsletter and some other
Mhm.
places, but I am budgeting at least that amount for next year.
Mhm.
So we can fit at least close to 20
Yeah.
households with that budget.
Do you know the low income program spending? Is that on track to be used? Do you know? I just feel
As of
like
now, no.
That's really low compared to other years.
It is low
Okay.
compared to other years. I had one come in just yesterday for some lights that they purchased for somebody, and that was we're still looking at 11,500 in the account probably. It was maybe $100
Okay.
used, so.
Just kind of odd because I feel like
Yeah.
there were years that they used up all the money, and now we have a year.
Yeah, and
where
I
it's
don't
just
know
kind
what, there's, it's state requirement to have, it's weird how it reads, maybe you're more familiar with it, but where a lot of places are encouraged to have programs that focus on low income, but when you do state reporting, you can, at least with the residential, excuse me, you can account for a certain percentage based on the census,
Yeah.
in those
Okay.
programs. So I think Brown County is 27.1% that I can account for each of the residential programs. So this next meeting, I'll bring those state reports, and it talks about, there's a section just for low income, and what we spend on low income compared to what we're supposed to, which is roughly 12,000 some dollars, which is why the budget's always $12,500 usually. We're spending like $50,000 or $60,000 each year, because I mean, are we really? Well, they're allowing us to capture some people based on that 27.1% based on the county what the county has on top of the 12,500. So are we really spending 60,000?
Probably
You don't,
not.
probably not, because we don't know who fits into the low income category. That's why we go through Minnesota Valley Action Council
Right, so,
and have that separate program so we can target and know that we're, reaching those people.
so should we have them send somebody here so we can find out how come there's no activity on it? Cause doesn't that,
Well, I think
Basically
people have
come
to,
through
I
them.
think people have to also contact them,
well, that's what I mean.
So I don't know what I with regards to that, even that budget, I'm not sure how much I should put into that, if we should lower it, cause we're also capturing the other savings, so technically we're meeting state requirements, or do we just keep it because we know at least that much money is targeting those people? So I don't know if anybody has an opinion on that.
I don't know. I guess I'd be, and I don't know if there's any just one, answer to it, but I guess I'd be kind of curious, like, are there applications for the stuff they do down? Or is it just that if there's some stuff where they're waiting on contractors and they're having an issue with contractors, I guess I'm sure with the other stuff we're meeting that, but I guess I'm just kind of curious to why it's so little this year. But I don't know that anybody
Yeah.
really has a answer to that.
I have to reach out to
I
them and
guess-
ask if they're, yeah.
And I guess if that's going to be that little now, I mean, some of that money could probably get redistributed to other things as long as we're still in some shape way meeting that requirement for low income.
Or do we change it from not necessarily appliances and lights, but more to, their home weatherization?
Yeah,
Mhm.
windows.
I don't know, is there-
Insulation.
Yeah.
but I'm not sure the
Yeah.
prices on that. I slightly talked to them regarding that last, when we were looking at the contract, but we didn't get in depth to it because we already had a budget set and it wasn't feasible at the time.
And I think what the state looks for is they look for you to have a designated program. So if you're working with your, like Minnesota Valley Action
Yeah.
Council or a CAP agency like that, they want to see that. The default is taking that 21%, that low-income
Yeah.
percentage for your county. That's the default for them, for communities that aren't doing a program. So we really do want to have something on the books
Yeah, I
showing
think
a
so.
program
I
with a
think so.
budget, and whether we don't use it all or not, as long as we're making it either by the default or
Right,
this
well, it's
will-
there to be
It's-
used.
yeah.
Yeah.
If it's not being used, it's,
Right. Then it just carries over to the budget as a whole.
Right.
And,
Right.
then if our air conditioning cleaning goes over budget,
Yeah,
it
that's-
just
yep.
kind of,
Well, I would think that would be some help to them to have at least a ballpark number
right.
in there as well
right.
from their end. So, all right. Any other comments or questions on the income statement? If not, I'll look for a motion from somebody.
Make a motion to accept it.
Second. We have a motion and second to approve the September income statement. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, under old business, is back to the energy audits. It looks like, I'll let Derek talk more, but it looks like some were completed on some homes.
Yeah, like we just kind of mentioned, we had two, Minnesota Center for Energy Environment came, visited two customers on the same day, and they did full energy audits. They had two staff members that came. One kind of focused on what types of installations maybe needed to be conducted, whether it's lighting, weather stripping on doors and windows, checked insulation levels if there was any, things like that. The other did, the blower door test, infrared camera, checked the attic installation and the walls. And so and each participant received a full report, which both are attached to this. And these two people actually were lucky enough that the Center for Energy and Environment gave them a full free energy audit, since they were willing to do this kind of out of season, but just to help with to promote the program and everything. But everyone else that will sign up will only have to pay $100, and then the public utilities is going to cover the cost of everything else. The remainder of the cost for what the energy audit actually costs from any installations that would be needed at those locations. So it's a pretty good deal, because they can be, $500 plus easily for a home energy audit. So as you can see from the first few, they got a picture of the front of the house, because they walk around and look at the exterior of the house as well as the interior, and they give them a report of how many installs were in there to their kind of score of their house. And you can see on this energy fitness score where currently that house kind of sits according to their scale, and different cost comparisons to what needs to be done, and actual pictures of. Some pictures are not obviously of their house; they're generic pictures, but a lot of other ones are from their windows of water heaters to AC units to attic installations, and then infrared pictures of different locations and kind of what they should do and the savings they can get if done. So, and it was interesting just having them sit down and discuss. I also brought along a year's worth of utility bills for each customer. So they sat down with them additionally and kind of went through their usage and consumption for their utilities. So we have, so with that 8,400, that 8,400 that was budgeted, I estimated with what we're willing to purchase and pay for, we can get close to 20 audits, and we have 13 people signed up. So there's still room for 7 more. I haven't been notified if there's been any additional individuals that have signed up since my conversation with Center for Energy and Environment, but that was just like 2 weeks ago, beginning of the month. So, and I kind of advertised a little bit on Facebook and another location just to see if a few others were willing to sign up. And I'm hoping, it seems like it's going to go well, but we're going to try to budget for this again next year.
Derek, I've got a question about the PUC is going to pay the $200 in any cost associated with seminars and installations.
Yep.
What kind of installations?
Light bulbs, weather stripping on doors, windows.
What if they need a new boiler or a new water heater?
No, but they test them. As you can see on the report, yeah. They test the water heater and the boiler or furnace,
Mm-hmm.
and give them their report on that. Its efficiency, how it's if it's venting correctly. They also did a combustion test, I think, on them also. So there's also a safety factor kind of implemented into the audit, which I think some people don't necessarily think of.
But if the water heater is dumping CO and it can't be fixed,
That's something those big things are something that cost is on them.
okay.
So we're just doing easily kind of plug and play, if that's the right term for all of it, but easy installations for them to do.
Okay.
Like the light bulbs and insulation, but weather stripping and things like that. There was a handful of like 6 or 7 things off the top of my head. I can't remember all of them, but somewhere in the report there might say everything. Like this customer had 11 energy efficiency installs. I don't think they're referring to all light bulbs, but
I was really surprised just how detailed it was for the homeowners. That they have that information, they can go back and
Right.
reference it for later on, you know, maybe they have some big items and they
Yeah,
can
I
keep
mean, that's-
track of, oh, well, I'd done this, but I need to do this as well yet. And
Right. And I'm
so,
interested in discussing or talking to some of these people that I know I like these first two I went to see what they have done and compare what their cost savings is. Yeah.
right. Any other questions or comment about the home energy audits? Otherwise, be looking for a motion to receive and order file whenever we're ready.
I'll make the motion to receive and order file the information on home energy audits.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and second to receive and order file the information on home energy audits. Any other discussion or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, oops, I tried to skip one. Let's go back here. Okay, so next up, we have a staff report on the customer steam system audit. Derek.
So this is another, should have been the proposed action, receive and order file. This was something that maybe should have first been brought here, but it was, since we didn't have a meeting last month, because it can pertain to Energy Awareness Commission depending on where it goes. But the initial first step doesn't necessarily affect us, but it could. That's why I still brought it back. So the Public Utilities Commission already approved part of this, and that was a request for a proposal, RFP. And what that will do is we're going to go out for bids and try to do a full energy audit of the steam system in the downtown area. So we're going to go out for bids and have an individual or their company come and go through all of downtown and track and number the traps and to see if anybody has thermostatic valves downtown, and come up with a whole list of what the manufacturers are, the sizes of everything, if they're working or if they're not working. If there's thermostatic valves installed, same thing, sizes, manufacturers. So we can get an understanding of what is in that system. Because the steam system, while sometimes it's not talked about a lot, is a pretty vital part of the public utilities. And as anybody that's walked downtown or grew up here, doors are always open in the winter, windows are open, and it's a lot of issues. It's a good heat source. It should, in theory, price per BTU, from what I've been told, should be cheaper, but people's utility bills are more than if they were on natural gas. So we're getting a lot of people looking into and that have been converting their systems to natural gas. So since it's such an important part of the utility, we're looking to see what we can do with this information.
How big
We're-
of an area?
Well, first we're going to give them the report on what's in their building, what's working, what's not, how much it will cost to fix it, how much savings they will get going forward once it is fixed. And then from there, we might explore other options. There's internal talk, but we don't, we don't know yet what might happen with it.
How big of an area are we talking, like up to Turner, to include?
Pretty much everybody
City
bes-
Hall?
Pretty much
And courthouse?
everybody besides industrial. So really the only industrial people are AMPI and Firmenich.
The
So,
courthouse, now this new,
yeah,
the old school up here,
right.
we'd be doing something with that too.
Well, I mean, the old junior high, they're keeping steam, so I'd hope they're doing what they should be doing and upkeeping and keeping their system up to date and new and fixed from what it was. Yeah. But I think for the most part, it's focusing at least first downtown. So how will that affect the Energy Awareness Commission? It might alter our rebate form and rebates going forward. So that's kind of why this is in here.
So, Derek, did you actually want us to make a motion?
Yeah, it
Receive
should have
order
been,
filed,
yeah,
so-
it should have been. I'll have to make a note and receive an order filed.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, I'll look for a motion from somebody.
I'll offer the motion to receive and file.
Second.
Have a motion to receive and order file information on the customer STEAM system audit. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Then we have some more information on our power grid workshop. Go ahead, Derek, whenever you're ready.
So we, as you all know, we purchased what was called the Power Grid from Recharge Labs. We had scheduled an initial workshop with local teachers in June. We didn't have enough participation, so we elected to cancel it and look at possibly having another workshop sometime closer to school. So we ended up having enough people sign up, and we had one in August. And the person who created the Power Grid workshop came down, and we had about a half a day workshop with, I think it was 12 or 13 local teachers. One was from Sleepy Eye, one was from MVL, which was fine, but then the rest were teachers from within New Ulm. So it was more, it was more than just making sure that it was, at that point, it was just our customers. It was more of an area type thing. I think everybody really enjoyed it. Everybody was really excited when they came, and by the time they left. It helped that he was cleaning out his warehouse, and he brought pretty much everything he brought. He's like, you can take anything that's here. So they all were able, not only they got a bunch of goodies that they could use in their classroom also. I haven't, there was a teacher, like I said, one from some MVL, CPI, 3 or 4 from Public, 3 or 4 from Cathedral, 1 from St. Paul's. So there was a good mixture, and somebody from MLC from the college. So there's a lot of opportunity for it to hopefully get utilized. And they got, not only how it functions with setting up, tearing down, but some classroom ideas on how to, use it with different age groups. So no one's called yet though, but school just started. School just
That's a
started.
good start.
So.
Cool. Any other questions or comments on that? Otherwise, it doesn't look like we're looking for any action on that one. So we will move on to the next item, the saving watts in drops changes.
So since we meet every other month, this kind of had changed. So I'm asking for approval of continuing to doing this next year. If not approved, then we won't continue to do this. But just to summarize, this was brought up. Alexis from CERTS came way earlier, before, it might even been last year, and then to implement something with saving for watts and drops this year. And so we initially were looking for some other entity to work with to use as some sort of fundraising. At least that was my idea, to use as a fundraising to sell light bulbs and faucet aerators and the such. Couldn't find anybody. I talked with her, and then Joel Haskins also from CERTS on what else can we do. Sounds like a good idea. So we came up with trying to get a hold of multifamily dwellings. So I sent them a list of all the locations in New Ulm that were multifamily. Joel from CERTS contacted all these locations. Some answered, some didn't, some responded, some didn't. And we have at least 3 or 4 that I know for sure that were interested. And we did work with one of them. So what the plan is to purchase light bulbs, screw-in light bulbs, like A19 light bulbs that would be, like a lamp.
Yeah.
And then faucet aerators. And I felt this was a good idea because we could still help out multifamily dwelling units, because we don't have a lot of programs that focus just on that. And also, it actually saves us some money also because we can capture more savings and not spend as much money, which is what on the bottom, it has bulb prices. So what we're purchasing would be the 9 watt, and actually the price, I don't recall what the exact price was that we're purchasing now, but it's actually less than $1.92. So this location that we contacted was looking to replace their lights. So what this calculation is, if we wouldn't have contacted them and they would have replaced these lights and sent in a rebate for those lights, what their rebate would have been compared to what we purchased the lights for. So they had 30 units and they had 6 bulbs in each unit at $1.92. So we paid $345 for all those bulbs for those units. So they had the 9-watt bulb. So generally those are equivalent to like a 60-watt light bulb. So 30 units, 6 bulbs at 60 watts is 10,800 watts. And we replaced them with 9 watts, which would be 1,620 watts. So the way the rebate works, I should have actually put it on the form, is it's the wattage saved. So you subtract the two and you get a number of the watts that you saved, right? And we rebate 30 cents. So their rebate would have been $2,754. So we also saved money, but we also helped them out and they also saved money. And we still get to capture the savings because we purchased, we purchased the bulbs.
And that savings was over what period?
Well, this was just this last year. They're
Right,
not
no,
installed
I
yet.
was
This
just-
hasn't occurred yet, but it's occurring.
And you want to try this again next year possibly?
Yeah, I mean, there was interest from other entities. They just needed to talk to their groups, their committees that oversee certain things
And
to
we
get
already
back to me.
got the product.
Well, we don't have the product, no.
Okay.
We've just contacted people to get interest, and this actual 30-unit location is one that's interested.
Well,
And
I'd give it another
would be
shot.
the first place we'd work with.
Yeah, I
I'd give
think-
it at least another shot, at least another
It,
year.
it seems like a good idea because we're not giving out as much money. They're not paying an electrician
Right.
to install them and to also purchase them. So it seems like a win-win for.
Does CERTS
Everybody.
actually come in and install the bulbs then?
No, well, actually,
In the
there's
air
2
notice?
attachments. The
Oops.
one is a notice saying, we did this. The New York Public Utilities and CERTS came together to install this many LED bulbs. But there's also a waiver that they signed that someone at that location will be installing the merchandise. So take my effort to go there to look and say, yep, they got installed. So, and at this location, I actually have met with them already to see what was in there before, to make sure that they're not
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
have LED
Sure.
lights in, they just want some more type thing.
Right, right.
So this is focusing on the multifamily dwellings
Yep.
currently. Do you feel that there would be the possibility or the need that there would be kind of another group that would also benefit from this, or just the multi dwellings?
What other type of group you think, like just
Well-
larger buildings with lots of rooms type thing?
Yeah, I
Or-
didn't know if there was anything that
I think
would
it's
fall
just-
in that, or
It's hard. I don't.
it's-
It's just from what I hear. I mean, I may be wrong, but just talking to other people, sometimes it's difficult to deal with multifamily units because some of these places weren't really interested because they don't buy the bulbs for the renters. They're just like,
Okay.
it's not benefiting us, so we're not interested. Where this location, the people that rent the apartments pay the electric, but the people that own the building purchase all the light bulbs for them, so it also benefited them. So there's a lot more things you gotta check
A lot of-
off and deal with when you're dealing with multifamily units. You have to
Okay.
deal with the tenants, you have to deal with maintenance staff, you have to deal with whoever owns the building, type of thing. So I
Okay, I was just curious.
think that's one reason why search was like, we could try to focus on multifamily
Families,
units.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think that's a
it's
good
a hard
fit, yeah.
market to target.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right.
To reach.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good program. I think you should try it again.
I don't have a problem with the bulbs, but aerators can be really tricky. I mean, there's like at least 4 different sizes of aerators, and then you get into certain faucets, and they can cost like $30 for an aerator.
The ones they're buying are 99 cents. I'm not sure if they're water sense or not. I'm not sure if they're, I mean, they must be meeting, I know they're meeting some sort of requirement for water savings.
Where are the aerators coming from?
That I'm not,
Or who buys them?
they're purchasing them through a vendor that they use.
This Certs is?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
okay, then it's their problem. Okay.
yeah. Yep. I guess with the aerators, I trusted them that they knew what they were talking about, because they deal, they've done these saving watts and drops.
I didn't
numerous-
realize it was them that was buying the material.
Yeah, they're purchasing it on our behalf.
Right,
And then
yeah.
we're,
Okay,
paying for it that way. But they're doing all the hard work,
yeah.
really.
And I don't remember, I know it said in here, who installs them?
Someone within the maintenance staff
Okay,
at that location. And that's more where I'll get involved, kind of before and then after, to make sure they're installed.
mm-hmm.
And the aerators, they really count towards gas savings, or because
Yeah.
it's a gas water heater
Right.
and
I
So
suppose
really-
it could be electric if we knew that the water heater was electric,
Right.
but I mean, I'm not sure percentage wise. Maybe you know more from past.
But even at that, it depends, half of your water is hot and half is cold.
right.
Yeah,
Right,
there's
but-
certain, and that's, later on, there's another program we can or cannot start. It was asked that we should start something, so I looked into it. And that has to do with water conservation. But you're right, how much, you're capturing savings in gas because you're trying to lower the consumption of the hot water, which uses gas or the
Mhm.
heat. But how much compared to cold water?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
They've got, I think in the TRM, there are savings calculated out for
Yep.
the average.
yeah, and that's kind of where I kind
Or
of came up
size
with
of
it.
the
I saw it, but I'm not sure, just like was mentioned before, what programs actually, we want to have programs where we're also, that are good for the customers, but also really good for us in trying to capture the energy
Mhm.
savings.
Mm.
That's a question I have with what we'll talk about later, the WaterSense program.
Mhm.
I'm not sure what the price, if it's a good program or not, but
Mhm.
it's something to look into. So.
Right. Any other comments or questions on the saving watts and drops changes? Otherwise, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the changes, if you want them to continue. I
Yeah, I'll
think that-
approve that. To continue with it.
Okay, so take that.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the changes and continue the changes to the Watts and Drop program. Any other questions or discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, working our way down to item 5, new business. We might get there. So this is getting into the new program for 2020 with the EPA's Water Sense.
So like we were just discussing, I'm not sure if other utilities have programs regarding WaterSense, which is an EPA sponsored program on water conservation. I think a lot of utilities that have just water have a lot more to offer with the WaterSense, because they have, from the low flow shower heads, faucets, and they also have toilets and other things like that, where our water department doesn't contribute to the CIP, the SIP. So if we would go forward with some sort of WaterSense program, it would be limited of what we'd rebate, which would be low flow shower heads or aerators or low flowing. I can't think of the other one. Some things, spray nozzles, like in restaurants or something. But it's based on water conservation, and if we would implement a program, we'd be trying to capture gas savings. So the other question, like we had just discussed, another thing I thought of after the fact was, you know, we have programs to capture gas savings already, and we easily are capturing or spending the money. I'd have to double check on the savings, if we even need another program for gas. On the other hand, we don't have any programs that focus just on water conservation. Because I know the water department has talked about in the past, I know coming from that area, that we offer nothing on water conservation. So it's kind of another thing, like maybe we'll get, like we're talking about with the trees later. Is it a program that just we should have because it's just good and benefits the public, or yeah.
Yeah.
But it's an idea, so it's either can go forward or not. Any other discussion? That
My thought on this is kind of twofold. One is as an energy awareness and conservation committee, I think that we want to look at all areas of conservation and water included,
right?
because it's a natural resource that, you know, we want to make sure is around, good quality water. The other hand then is on the utility side, you know, the other programs are mandated by the state. And we have good water capacity in our community.
Yep.
And, you know, so we want people to feel like they can use, you know, the water that they need. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's kind of, you know, I don't know about rebating them. I think that we certainly should be promoting them, but I don't know about if we would want to rebate. There's nothing for the utility to benefit from rebating that.
And that's probably the main reason why there hasn't been one in the past.
Right.
There hasn't.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And if we were trying to make gas savings, then yeah, because of the large use of gas water heaters, you know, then there
Right.
would be savings coming from that shower head or
Right,
that
and we-
aerator, but,
we already have gas programs.
right,
yeah.
that are meeting
So-
our needs, so,
And I did the paperwork. We're a WaterSense partner already. That does not mean we have to be a partner that has programs. We can still use your literature. I mean, that's part of it also, is the promotion of just
right.
water conservation. So,
And maybe it's something that, you know, at an event, we give away shower heads, you know, or,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
but, I mean, I don't know if we would need a rebate program for.
yeah, and that probably could easily be done with educational funds type thing,
Right.
you know, where we can still contribute that within our state report, but we're not gathering, because there's that certain percentage we can use out of that for
Sure,
education and
Mhm.
obviously advertising, because it's all reported, but you can only use a certain percentage.
right.
Right.
That's just my thoughts.
Right.
I'm kind of on the same lines as you are, that I like the idea of it, but the amount of money, if we're rebating, that it would cost versus what savings we would actually
Right.
capture from that. And I'm not sure, you know, I know you can limit the devices, but I'm still not exactly sure how we would really be able
Mhm.
to kind of figure out if our cost is higher than what we're saving in the end. But, you know, maybe some education with it, or, you know, some shower heads, or, you know, something, even, you know, like when we do the booth at the home show,
Right.
to bring it to people's attention without necessarily doing a rebate
Right.
with it. But I don't know what others' thoughts are. Anybody else have thoughts, or Do we want to just forgo the program?
I can just let it go.
Yeah, we can.
I'll make a motion to forego the program for 2020 and
Second.
reevaluate.
We have a motion to forgo the program for 2020. Any other discussion, comments? All right, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carried, so we will forgo that program in 2020. All right, on to then the shade tree part of our CIP.
So the public utilities have had a shade tree or relief, it's been called both, for quite a long time. I think at least goes back to 1997 in some form. And to summarize, I was doing my state report and I wrote to the Department of Commerce because that's who oversees who I submit my state report on the SIP. And I wrote to them asking how I can capture the savings for trees and their response. And I put it in here. I wasn't actually attached the whole email, but I wasn't sure because it was from the state, and like a lot of places it says this email is only meant for the person receiving it, type thing. So I didn't attach the whole email, but I did just kind of put in quotations what they actually said. I asked my question, and they informed me that savings results are based on the energy savings achieved in the first year that a measure is implemented, and they do not yield reliable energy savings within the CIP framework. So that led to the question of if we can't capture any savings from this program, why is it in this conservation improvement program? Because that's part of what the state statute is to spend a certain percentage that they want you to spend and capture the certain savings that they want you to capture. So so there's different options that I listed, and you can give your own options if you have them, but the options would be, and this is just some things that it doesn't meet CIP requirements as a rebate, does not yield reliable energy savings within the CIP framework, because it's very obvious that there are energy savings with trees. It's not arguable, it's fact. It will not help require the SIP savings goals for the new public utilities, which we'll see later on have not been achieved for quite some time and are actually possibly decreasing. It can't be reported to state on a yearly report. And then if it's continued, the funds will be associated with rates possibly. So there's some other alternatives. It's to keep the program. I mean, the one is to keep the program in the SIP and just not capture savings from it. But the other would be remove the program and have the public utilities still offer the program, but then it wouldn't be associated with our mandated requirement with SIP. It'd be coming from some other funds within the public utilities, taking away from something else, or just discontinuing the program at all. So I'm not sure if there's other options that I missed that other people have an opinion on regarding the shade tree. It's kind of a no right or wrong answer, in my opinion. This is true and this is true. That's just how we want to look at it and what we want to do going forward.
I think in a way, it's a nice program, but if we can't capture savings, that's an issue. And I know that we've been having plenty of money in the CIP, but we want to work towards better being able to capture those savings and meet our goals with that. So I don't know. And I feel like at times, it's not to say that this would, that it necessarily, if it would come from a different place, that it would come from utility rates. But I don't know that that would be the right place for that to have to go either.
I love the idea of the tree, of being able to, for people to plant trees, because it's a terrific benefit.
Yeah.
But my problem is that if we can't capture anything and it's just coming out of the utility bills, basically, the person that can't afford to buy the tree is helping the next person plant a tree in their front yard.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's my concern too, is if it comes down to coming out of the utility
Mm-hmm.
rates. Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure, I mean, whatever you decide, I guess my thinking was it would go to the Public Utilities Commission. I report to the Tree Advisory Commission regarding this program also. I mean, I've talked to them more about it than I do here, because here we have much more programs, so it's talked about. So probably should also bring this to their attention and at least get their feedback on it. Or at least get their feedback one way or another, and then take it to the Public Utilities Commission. I'm not sure if that's the correct steps or not, but that was my plan, at least.
Yeah, I
'Cause
kind
this might be a bigger deal than what people think, because people are accustomed to having the rebate.
yeah, and I really like the rebate and hate to see it go, but I really have an issue with it landing on the utility rates.
Right.
Well, I think for our purposes, if we can't capture anything through the CIP program with the state, we might want to recommend that it go. But really down the line, it really does help the utility if that shade tree is helping that air conditioner, 5-10 years down the line, run less during peak hours, it's reducing their demand. So there might be some benefit to the utility if people do plant trees
Yeah.
in their front yard. It may be down the road, but, and it doesn't look like it's a large amount. It averaged, $3,000 a year?
Yeah,
Well,
so I
that's-
mean, I had this whole spreadsheet of just what I gathered from the information that I easily could obtain going back from 2013. I didn't find anything from 2015. But, so out of those 6 years, we've rebated 290 trees, so that's an average of 48 trees a year. Since then, we've rebated almost $19,000, and we've averaged just over $3,000 a year. So I just took, since it went back to 97, I just took that average. Whether or not this is even remotely close or not, I don't know. But the years active times the average spent, we've rebated almost $70,000 on things that we can't capture as a
Back then, we
savings.
were capturing, because back then it was a savings goal. It wasn't a
Oh, was it different?
KWH
They
goal.
said it. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So at that time, when this tree program started, it was a program that they did accept.
And then they
And then
changed their framework
They
and
changed the framework, and it had to have a societal test and all of that stuff. So that's when it kind of got to the point where they're kind of saying, that it doesn't meet that first year
sure.
savings, because the first year.
Okay.
So it really was part of it for a long time. Even
Yeah.
when I was there, we were claiming the spending savings. You couldn't claim any KWH savings.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it used to be really big
Mhm.
years back, not just New Ulm, but other utilities, they were really promoting
Mm-hmm.
this type of thing
I
for
think
a while.
I think the utility and the city want to promote the planting of trees within the community. It just really
Mhm.
adds to the.
Are we looking
It's a-
for trying to get more use out of this?
Out of
Is
the
it-
out of
this
what?
program? Is that what we're doing?
No, we're not trying to get more use out of it. We're just trying to either place it. I feel it just can't be in the conservation improvement program, because I guess my personal goal is I'd like to try to capture as much savings as we can. That's what the state wants us to do, and I feel that's what we are obligated to do, is to try to meet. Whether or not they actually are going to check on us or not, someone in state legislature said, we need to do this, and these are what the parameters are of what we're asking the utilities to do, to spend this much money and try to capture this savings. And this doesn't fit in that framework. but I live in the country, and one thing that I love is I love all my trees I have. So it's kind of a touchy subject.
Well, I was just
On
wondering,
what
like with
to-
this ash borer coming through the valley
Yeah.
now.
Well, I mean, on the other hand, are people still going to buy trees? Is this going to reduce the amount of trees purchased in new home? I don't know. Maybe it will. I don't know.
It might,
I mean,
You know, we-
it's used a lot.
it might change the quality and the type of tree they buy,
Could.
because we do have a specified list
Right.
that
So
they can. But I guess as a group, I don't know if we want to recommend that they keep it, because there is benefits down the road, and it's the PUC Utility Commission that will make that final decision if they want to fund it or not. I guess as a group, I would, as a conservation effort, landscaping is a conservation effort. It is, and we should be promoting trees. It may not fall within the CIP program, but it still is, you can do landscaping for conservation, and trees are part of that. So I think as an energy awareness, we would want to promote it and hope that the utilities keeps it, and it will be their choice whether they decide to fund it.
yeah, and ultimately it'll be their decision.
Right.
It's important that this is part of the Energy Awareness Commission's, one of their accounts, that they have a lot
Right.
of input
Mhm.
and a loud voice in however it is that you feel.
Right.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good program to keep. I realize we're not capturing the savings, but maybe we need to at least hang on to it for now and see what discussion arises about where other funding opportunities are for it, or if there are other ideas that would help us with being able to capture savings or fund the program.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna make a motion that we recommend that they keep the program, not in the CIP spending because it doesn't fit, but we would like them to see the program kept because of the long-term benefits of energy savings.
have a second on that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay. So we have a motion and second on the Shade Tree program. Other comments, discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, we have one opposed. We still had the majority, so motion carries. Do we have to do anything different with that, Derek, then?
Do you have to do an individual roll?
That's what I was just wondering.
Thank
If we
you.
have to do an individual roll.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we'll do individual roll call. Is it easier for you to do it to keep track of, or?
Well, to tell the truth, the way this goes, I'll have to watch it on YouTube, and
Okay, so it doesn't matter. All right.
not gonna lie, yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, all right. So, Rick,
Yes.
okay. Lisa,
Yes.
yes. Mary,
No.
no. Jim,
Yes.
and I say yes as well. Motion carries with one no. I'll give Derek a moment to catch up. And I gotta get back on the right agenda item. Okay, so we have another staff report on the CIP performance audit. Derek.
A little while back, a few months ago, I had contacted two separate entities. One was the Center for Energy and Environment, which were kind of been discussed they've been discussed here in the past regarding other things, and the other was Energy Insight. I had contacted them initially because I am looking, so the city and the public utilities is in the process of redoing their website. And that's a really good opportunity for us to update our forms and try to get them online, as in printing them off as a PDF or having them be able to be filled out online and submitted, that type of whole thing. But within that was also to have someone or some entity actually look at them and come up with the comparison of like some of the attachments here, how we compare to other utilities and how much we are spending to how much we are gathering as our kilowatts an hour savings, or what we get for kilowatts an hour savings, compared to those programs. So they each came and they each brought a few different things. The first one was from the Center for Energy and Environment. They paired us up against Austin, Owatonna, and Rochester, 3 other utilities.
Just a second, we're not seeing anything on,
You know?
no.
What? I went
The
from
next thing
switching.
comes is
Should say
air
new
source heat pump thing.
Yeah, I went. to
Really?
heat
Or did we
pumps.
skip one too?
And heat pumps, I think, was. the
Oh,
last
well,
one.
that's part of it. Sorry. It was a
Multifamily
conversation.
dwelling CIP?
It was a, so Center for Energy and Environment talked to us about our CIP programs, and they also brought up another thing, that was kind of a side discussion. So first with Center for Energy and Environment, they came with this first attachment, which was the New Ulm rebate comparison with Austin, Owatonna, and Rochester. And all the rebates that they offer, the rebates we offer, the different price comparisons of what they offer to what we offer, and an average and a median compared to the rebates. So it's just kind of where we stand with other utilities, whether we're a little higher or lower, what we offer or what they don't offer, what they offer, what we don't. And then Energy Insights, who we are, can you move my screen, going to be working with. We just sent a purchase order off to them. This is a good, Matt Haley, who's the owner of Energy Insights, came up with this colored graph with the yellows and reds and greens. Some of what I knew, but what percentage we've spent out of that 1.5% and the kilowatts an hour saved goal, how close we were. So there was an anomaly in 2014 where somehow we saved 191%, but we haven't really been meeting our savings goal year in and year out, but we get somewhat close to the 1.5% of our spending. So I guess in my opinion, we're spending a lot of money and we're not getting the savings we should be getting from our programs at this point. Whether or not some of them have run their course, or the price is different, or we just need to upgrade or implement different programs to try to capture, whether it's air source heat pumps or geothermal projects, or some other programs to try to meet the savings goals. And just some bar graphs of how we compare based on certain things to other utilities that they came up with. And then back to what you originally had asked with the air source heat pumps. The Center for Energy and Environment also wanted to talk to us about multifamily dwellings and wanting to know which locations use electric as a heat source. What they want to do is they want to possibly work with the utility to try to install cold climate air source heat pumps in these locations. So they want to do that because they want to do studies on that type of things and do some publications. So we sent them a list and they're interested, but I haven't heard much since then on if they are wanting to work with a location here in New Ulm or not. So that's why that's kind of in there. That was just kind of a side discussion they had. So we're looking to hire Energy Insights to, I didn't include their bid and what they're going to do, but they're going to do kind of like what this graph shows. Try to figure out how our programs can be altered to try to capture more savings and what types of programs and things we should rebate for that we're not already to try to boost our energy savings that we report to the state each year.
We don't have very many people that are using electric for heating purposes, do we?
There's not many, no.
No.
There are a few, but Linderhof maybe,
Really?
might be a couple others, but not many. Not out of the list of all the multifamily units in town. It's very minimal. But some of those locations are ones that I've gone to and I've talked with the individuals that live there, and they're at certain locations, they're lower income places, and their utility bills are more than their rent
Yeah.
because of their electric heat.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, there's a main room, a kitchen, and one bedroom, maybe two, and they pay $100 in rent, and their lights, you have to take their word for it, but their lights are out or their bulbs are unscrewed because they,
Yeah.
then it gets cold out and you got to turn the heat up, and it's electrical on top of everything else. It gets to be expensive. So they're good locations. So hopefully they're willing to come down and do that, because I don't really think it would be much of a cost for the utility also. This is something where they're getting their money through, well, their nonprofits that, through other ways, other funds, and then they do their studies on it and publish their studies, that type of thing. So there's an incentive for them to get the money to spend it to do their reports type thing.
So this here report is just on residential programs, I take it? Is-
The one with the other municipalities.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so, okay.
yeah. I didn't see any sort of high efficiency lighting or a custom rebate.
Yeah, because, I would imagine that the percentage of savings coming from the residential is so very small compared
Right.
to
Right.
the industrial
And
and
that's a
commercial.
good point. If our industrial customers aren't doing any, or at least submitting anything, that takes a big
Right,
hit on
Right.
not only spending but definitely on
Mm-hmm.
the savings per year.
And I think that's where we'll need to look for our savings, because residential, a lot of these things have shrunk in the TRM, that the $25 is,
Yeah, and that's another thing I didn't include because I didn't have a really good chance to study it. Was I don't remember which is Center for Environment and Energy Insight, but a list of stuff that would have been on that, and what's kind of getting either phased out or
mm-hmm.
the cost of how much savings you can get
Mhm.
for it. So maybe you need to,
Yeah.
But it would be interesting what they find, and then that's something I may have them actually come and talk about once they have their findings, rather than me trying to report on something. They can fully answer any questions that you have for them, and they're the ones doing the work, so they'll be able to explain it much more accurately than I can, I'm sure. So.
Is any other questions or information on this? Looks like you're looking for action as far as to receive and or file the information on heat pumps and multifamily dwellings in the CIP info. And then I'm assuming more information once they get through with their stuff, if we approve.
Yeah, I just I just did everything today to set up their vendor number and everything, so it will be
Okay.
sent, within the next day or so. They'll be sent their quote back, signed by the city manager, and then they'll send us an official bill, or start their work and then bill us after. So it should be soon when we'll know when they're gonna start actually working on it and have a time frame of how long it's gonna take them to do that. Hopefully somewhat soon, cause with the website getting redone, the goal was to try to smoothly get in any changes along with that, but
So you wanna receive it and file it? That's what you
receive an
said.
order file.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make a motion for that.
Have a motion to receive an order filed. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and second to receive an order file information on heat pumps for multifamily dwellings in CIP information. Any other questions or discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion carries. Any commissioner comments before I have one thing that Derek and I were talking about? No. Derek and I were kind of talking a little bit about maybe the need for a special meeting. You had some stuff that you felt maybe to cover before
Well,
next one.
There was
or
a
are
couple
you
things,
good?
one that wasn't, it's up to you all and the
Yeah.
commission. I have my budget meeting tomorrow. Since we're meeting every other month, it wouldn't be till after the fact that
Mhm.
the budget would need to be approved, so your input would be kind of pointless at that point. So if there's any, I mean, it's tomorrow, but I'm sure if we had a special meeting the next month, we can at least get some input in if I need to go back and say, you know, Energy Awareness Commission decided this. I'd assume there'd be time to get that input in for any changes.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure if we should hold a special meeting next month.
Do you see any major changes in the budget as far as?
Well, I can tell you that I believe the overall budget will be about, if this number is correct, because I wrote down a few numbers, $363,000. $363,525. Then you have all the other accounts that
Mhm.
pertain to healthcare and all, you know.
Right.
So what's remaining was 264,000. I don't have that on here.
That's
So
about
it's,
the
so
same.
it's about it should be about roughly $8,000 more than this last year, which was 254, I think.
54.
254. So, I guess the one question was opinion on the holiday lighting, if that's run its course or not. Cause it's hard, I can't, when that program comes up, you know, we budget $2,000, I go buy $2,000 worth of chamber dollars.
Mhm.
So, I
Yeah.
guess, you know, there's one way I could track it, but how much it, you know, it just goes to zero right away, other than when it's negative, because I advertise for it and I don't factor that in, but.
Do you, does it run out? I mean, do you have chamber dollars left? at
Last year
the-
there was, you know, off the top of my head, I don't recall how much was left, but there's chamber dollars left. Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad program, it's just something to discuss.
Mhm.
I mean, we kinda talked about the low income program. So, you know, there's nothing changing there. I think the biggest thing would be reducing the furnace cleaning and the furnace installation rebate to reflect the actual money that's put in by the gas department. If that's, you know, we kinda discussed that earlier though, you know.
But even if you reduce that and you get so many customers, we've gone over budget,
Yeah.
it's not gonna change,
Well, that's
it's
the other
not gonna
question.
change. Are
is
we gonna
if
limit it?
That's just the question. Do we limit it, and when it gets there, we stop that? Because now we're turning people away,
Right,
and we're not
that's-
getting any savings.
Yeah.
Right,
you
and
know.
that's,
But then again, I guess it's better to go over and get some sort of savings. Cause in the past, technically, I don't believe we've been required to put money into that part, cause we didn't meet
The gas,
the
you
sale,
didn't meet
right.
the sales, the 1 million or whatever.
This last year we
MMBTs
did,
or-
though.
Okay.
So now we are required, at least for this next year. Yeah, I think it's 1 million
Mhm.
cubic feet sold, I think. So that's just the stuff for discussion. There'll be more
Yes.
discussion on programs once we get more info from Energy Insight on what we should do. Then I think at that point, planning for that following year.
Yeah, it's up to the commission, but I just thought we'd bring it up and see what your thoughts are if you wanted more input in there, or if you think we're good.
I think Derek has a really good handle on the budget, and our
Yeah.
budget is a certain amount. It's just a matter of how you want to allocate it. And if you, and how you want to fund, how much you
Right.
want to take from the gas, that's kind of an internal accounting
Right.
thing. So it's up to you. If you feel you want input from us, I don't have any problem having another meeting. but-
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how much any Energy Awareness Commission in the past, or how much they're supposed to be giving input anyways. But I mean, I think it's good to ask though.
Mhm.
Otherwise, why,
Right,
show up?
right.
We have.
No, it's just kind of, I think in the past, mostly just
always
kind
been
of
left up
taking
to-
place, yeah,
Yeah.
but, yeah.
I mean, I can be there. I've got nothing else to do.
Okay, I'll give you a call tomorrow, 11 o'clock.
That's fine. Give me a ride down, Ma, right?
Mm.
Yeah, I just can't do it on Friday.
Thoughts, anybody
So
else?
yeah, I
or-
mean, if that's fine, then I guess there's really no
Yeah,
need.
I guess
I think the only other
I'm
option, it's not on the agenda, so I'm not sure if we can discuss it or not. It was meant to be, and it got left out, but looking at next year on meeting dates. This year we went from every other month till November. Was this fine, or was it better to go back from January to May or whatever, and then come back and,
take the summer off.
yeah, and then
Like
you
we
get those
had.
three,
Mhm.
that's,
Well, we can think about that for the next meeting.
yeah, I
suppose.
mean,
Yeah.
it's, yeah. So, there's no rush.
yeah, our next meeting then would be November 12th at 5 PM,
Okay.
so. I guess my consensus I'm getting then is we'll just plan on the November one, so. Any other questions, comments? Otherwise, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second?
I'll
Anybody?
second it.
Okay. We have a motion and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.